Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for February 14th, 2025. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Hope everyone had a great afternoon, great evening, ready for another day of activity here in the market. It's going to be a little bit more filled with data this morning and a little bit less on the earnings front here today, but let's see if we can take a look and see what happened here overnight first. Asian markets last night, a little bit of mix with Australia looking higher here on the day, up 0.19%. The Nikkei down 0.79%. India was lower. We have Hong Kong sharply higher here this morning. They were up 3.69% or 805 points, and Shanghai higher by 0.43% or $14.24. If we take a look at European markets this morning, we've got a little mix going on here as well. We've got the DAX looking just slightly lower, down 0.22, FTSE down 0.17, and the CAC is up 0.44. Taking a quick look at U.S. futures here this morning, well, those U.S. futures are looking a little bit on the bearish side here this morning, pulling back from yesterday's big push up. Dow futures up down 141. The S&P 500 futures down 1125, and NASDAQ futures down 4650 so far this morning. Let's take a look at some of our bond yields here today. Bond yields, interesting as we saw inflation go up. In the PPI number, the market just decided to ignore that yesterday. Wasn't a problem for them, and even the bonds eased up yesterday. Very interesting. We've got the 2-year bonds in here at 4.29%. The 10-year bonds are at 4.53%, and the 30-year bonds at 4.74%. As those bonds were making those moves yesterday, we saw quite a reversal there in the dollar pushing down. So we are technically down here just trying to see if this support area in the dollar is going to hold. We'll want to watch that carefully, and of course we have these lower highs, so you've got to consider this as a potential where the dollar really starts to move lower here in the market, particularly if those bond yields start coming back down. Now, with that going on, we have oil this morning. Oil is moving just slightly higher here at the moment. Yesterday we saw some decreases in oil, but this morning we've got them moving up just, well, it just flipped to flat here on the day. Oil futures at 71.27 a barrel, flat at the moment, dead flat at the moment. If we take a look at Brent is also flat this morning, down a penny at the moment. Natural gas, on the other hand, is looking strong here. Natural gas up about 7.5 cents here this morning. So let's watch this up here, see if we can break this recent high in the chart. We shot up there yesterday and then reversed, holding in there today to try and push on higher. If we take a look at precious metals here this morning, we've got gold continuing to surge here to the upside. Right now, gold futures are up $12.60 an ounce, $2,958 an ounce. Silver futures are also moving higher here this morning. We've got silver up substantially, up $1.31 on silver futures at $34.04 an ounce, really cruising to the upside there this morning in a big gap up. Copper, on the other hand, a little bit lower here this morning after gapping higher here in CPOX, but copper itself down not quite half a cent. We've got palladium. Palladium is moving up, and platinum is also moving slightly higher from kind of a bullish pattern in here. Might want to keep an eye on that one. And then if we take a look at those cryptos here this morning, well, cryptos are moving back up. We've got Bitcoin right now at the moment up 646.78 a coin. And Ether is up 31.47 a coin, a 1.19% there on Ether. So pretty substantial move to the upside here today. So what does all that mean for today? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Friday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's take a peek at some of these charts and see if we can gain a little information about how we might want to approach the market for today. Remember, we want to shake off that bias, and we really want to look at the charts for what they are, not for what we want them to be. Well, yesterday's surge here in the diamonds really threatened to break out up here for a little bit, and we still have that potential that we could break out up here. As you can see, the diamonds pushing up into this resistance of the chart, and of course that downtrending line there in the chart. We came up there and touched that. This morning we're backing away from it here just a bit. We'll want to watch that closely. But if those bulls were to find inspiration in any of the data today, then a push up through might be possible, and we would be up in here testing these resistance areas in the chart, and then of course all-time highs potentially coming into the Dow. So watch that close. If those bears, however, have anything to say this morning from the data, then a pushback, maybe to retest this area of price support here in the chart, and that upside little side of that pennant. We'll want to watch that carefully. If they fail through there, however, we're probably going to raise a little fear if that were the case. This would be another lower high in the diamonds, particularly if it makes a lower low. I would see some concern coming up in the market, and you can see breaking back down below here, we'd be on our way to a test maybe of the 50-day moving average. If we take a look at our SPY, now SPY had a zoomer of a day yesterday. Big tech was really being pounded into, particularly NVIDIA. They were just pounding money into some of these big techs. And you can see pushed up through here. We actually made a in the QQQ record high close on that QQQ, so watch that carefully. Blue sky above, anything above here, blue sky up there in the SPY. So if the bulls find inspiration, every reason to believe we can do that. If the bears, however, find some inspiration here, I would suggest maybe a pushback to test these highs in here would be the first area. That's about 50% of that big white candle of yesterday. If that were to slip lower here, maybe create more of a piercing candle situation, a pushback into this area of price support might be a likely place. And you can see we've got that trend break here, and that can also right in here serve as a little bit of hold in support. I would say breaking back down below that area would probably raise a little bit of concern, because we would probably end up with something that looks more like a bearish engulfing candle on that big pop yesterday. So down below there would probably raise a little bit of concern. Now, looking at this, we're still well off of our 50-day moving average, so even if we did break down below yesterday's candle, we've got some work to do for those bears in here. I do think that there is the possibility of some pretty substantial whipsaws just simply because of the low breadth of the market, but we'll have to look at that in just a second. If we take a look at QQQ, same thing going on here. Nice little pop break out of that little wedging pattern. Didn't quite make it up there to hit an all-time high. In the QQQ, didn't quite make it all the way up there. But if we take a look right here, that little pushback here on the day, if we have a little bearish activity, catching a little support there wouldn't hurt at all, and it probably wouldn't hurt all that much coming back into that nice little price support there, other than maybe leaving behind a bearish engulfing candle. So still very, very bullish here on the Qs. Hold of this support, we've got no problem. Catch that trend right in there, bounce off of that, no problem. It would be if they break back below there, that's where we would probably have a little bit of fear coming up in the market. On the bullish side, we're so close to setting new record highs here in the SPY. I think there's every reason to believe a good push here today on some good data. We could pop right up through there, see some new record highs in the QQQ as possible. IWM continues to just be ignored overall. Poor Russell just can't get a whole lot going. It is nice that they pushed up yesterday, pushed up into this resistance in the chart. We'll see if the bulls have inspiration today, whether we can push on through. But when we have big tech garnering as much of that move, as I showed you in that article yesterday, just 5 stocks. 5 stocks are 25% of the entire S&P 500. 25%. So we're so centric into just a handful of big tech giants that it really is drawing lots of attention away from IWM, and it's really tough. It's like it sucks money out of everything to go into those tech giants. So watch that carefully here. We need some bullish energy in here to get this going if we're going to, and see if we can get back up here and retest these highs. If the bears, however, find inspiration here on the day and push us back down, that could create a little bit of a lower high situation here in that IWM. And a push back down into here might raise a little bit of concern, because remember, on the Russell, the only index here that is underneath its 50-day moving average, and that 50-day moving average is declining. So a failure in here, I think a lot of folks would probably be worried about the fact that we could be seeing that 200-day moving average before too long on the Russell. If we take a look at our VIX here this morning, our VIX had a good response yesterday after that news of those tariffs being delayed until maybe April that was signed yesterday. So pushing down in here, we're coming close to some support in this area. Let's watch that carefully. Good bullish move today. I think we could easily test this down here, relieving some of that pressure in the market. If we were to break down below there, well, certainly a possibility. We might be seeking out this area here in the chart. Now, if the bears were to find anything to say today, well, bouncing off of this kind of area of support in here, pushing back up, we'd look at resistance in here and the tops of these candles to see if we could push back through. I think it'd take maybe a little bit of fear at this point to do that. Right now, the market just seems to be in a buy. They had nothing. Inflation doesn't matter. That we don't care about that. Tariffs doesn't matter. We don't seem to care about that at the moment. They just really have been wanting to buy. We'll see if that follows through here with today. And then if we take a look at our T2122, if we take a look at that, we stretched up here nicely yesterday, well above the 50% area here. More stocks moving up yesterday than moving down. This has been a very choppy area of the market, so we'll have to watch for those whipsaws and reversals. But if those bulls can find good data here today, well, every reason to believe we can push right on up here, back up into that bearish reversal zone. They just want to buy, and particularly buy big tech. If the sellers have anything to say in here, they start pushing this back down. Of course, we have a little bit more room to the downside in that chart if that were to occur. Now, if we take a look at our T2108, the good news yesterday, that nice little stretch, and it helped just a little bit. That surge right at the end of the day helped just a little bit. We ended up closing back up here 40 stocks above their 40-day moving average, 50%, 50.05% stocks above their 40-day moving average. So we're about half and half, almost exactly half and half. Stocks above their 50, stocks are above their 40. If this were my indicator, it would have been a 50-day moving average, but stocks above their 40-day and about half below their 40-day. We'll want to watch that resistance right there in the chart. Keeping an eye on that. A breakthrough up there could be very, very bullish. If the bears were to have anything to say and back away from here, well, notice we've got some pretty good levels of price support in here. If that were to pull back, probably not a major issue unless that fear really crept up. And T2107, percentage of stocks above the 200-day, well, it didn't fare quite as well yesterday, but it did have a nice little push up here. A little over 48% of the stocks above their 200-day moving average. Watch that carefully. We got this little downtrend in here, a little bit of price resistance in here as we move up toward that 50%, but a good bullish move today could easily get that done. If the bears have a little bit to say, well, we've got a pretty good price support in here to catch it if it pushes back. If we take a look at T2101, this is my concern here. We had that breadth increase on the bearish wave on Wednesday, and yesterday, as we surged to the upside, look at the breadth. The breadth turned lower again. We have an extremely low breadth market. We've been lower here, as you can see, but this is an extremely low breadth market. And that does concern me that every time we get a big surge to the upside, it is not followed by breadth. So it does leave that door open for big potential point move whipsaws. Watch carefully for that possibility if we suddenly decide we're going to care about some of these things in tariffs or valuations or whatever. Watch that carefully. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. Now, our economic calendar, we've got a busy morning here this morning with several market moving reports. First, we're going to get the retail sales numbers here this morning. They're expecting retail sales to come in a little bit weaker from month over month to a negative 0.1 from a 0.4. X vehicles looking for that to drop just 1/10 to a 0.3 from a 0.4. So keep an eye on those today. Certainly a market moving report, a miss of those numbers could definitely inspire buying and selling depending on which side it misses on. Import-export prices. Looking at those import prices month over month to go up to 0.4 up from a 0.1. Watch that carefully. And export prices, looking for those to stay flat here on the day. We're looking at industrial production numbers. Industrial production numbers expected to decline here on a month over month basis from a 0.9 to a 0.3. And if we take a look here at capacity utilization, they're expecting that to move higher. So watch that carefully. I don't know why they didn't give us a guess here on the manufacturing output, but yeah, we'll see that here in just a little bit. And then business inventories here today. Looking for those business inventories to increase from a 0.1 to a 0.3 in here. So these are some market moving numbers. We'll want to watch them pretty closely. And then after that, Baker Hughes, and we've got Logan speaking, and we're going to wrap it up and head into a 3-day weekend. Remember, everyone, Monday market will be closed for President's Day. So make sure you plan the risk of your portfolio, plan carefully heading into that longer weekend. So how about we take a look at our earnings calendar. Now, our earnings calendar, a few notables here today. It is not nearly as busy as what we have seen here lately. I could run through all of these, but I did prepare a little thing that you can take a screenshot on since there's no blog today. There's our notables. There are no notables after the bell today, but a few notables here this morning. Let's run through these really quickly. We've got AEM reporting today. That's been on a tear to the upside, so watch that. AMCX looks like a report there might be a little bit disappointing here this morning. AXL, we've got CAE, we've got ENB, ESNT, FTS, MGA, MRNA, NMRK, POR, SXT, TRP, and THS. So watch those carefully today. Those, whether they'll be market moving, they're not really those kind of stocks that move the market all that much, but keep a close eye on them. Let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me that favor, ask this every day, and thank you to so many folks who have done this. If you would click that subscribe button on YouTube, and then also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. Helps a lot, and I do very much appreciate it. Means a lot to me. And thank you for everyone who does take the time to click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to grow. I truly, truly appreciate it. I apologize I didn't get to those yesterday. I should be on top of that today. So thank you for everyone who does do that and shares these videos out on your social media feed. Just clicks that link and shares it. Thank you, everyone, for that kind support. I do truly appreciate it. So how about we take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. Remember, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence. Be very, very careful in this market. And remember, we are very prone to some big point moves and swings here in the market. You've probably all noticed it's been a little bit of a challenging market. You can't trust a whole lot in here because we whipsaw so much on news events and earnings events. So just be careful and plan your trades carefully. Let's take a look at some of these stocks, and remember, as we look at some of these, you'll just have to decide what you want to do with these heading into a 3-day weekend. So first off, I'm going to mention we saw that big move in silver. And I have a bias here on PSLV because I bought PSLV here in this beautiful little pattern a couple of days ago. So getting a nice little pop here this morning. This is a very common pattern that I trade, and one that produces at a very high level. So very happy with the way this is looking this morning. Watch that carefully. Any rest or pullback in here could set up an opportunity there in silver for a re-entry, as long as we follow along this trend in the chart. So keep an eye on that. If we were to take a look at steel, Steel is another area we'll want to be paying attention to, particularly if the dollar continues to weaken. Steel Dynamics, this is a very nice looking pattern as this rests back after popping my alert. Just resting back in here, I would watch that carefully for that next opportunity to the upside. Nucor is another one that seems to be in that setup zone. We're pressing through this area of resistance here in the chart. If we can hold up in here, I would look for that next opportunity there in Nucor. And of course, there's others out there to look at, but those are a couple of the really nice patterns in steel worth paying attention to. MP might be something you want to be paying attention to here. Another metals and minerals type, beautiful breakout of this resistance, and then that resting pattern occurring in that chart. Very nice looking chart. I would look for that opportunity for that to pop right on through here to the upside. In that same area, VALE, little volatility in there yesterday. It gapped down and then pushed right back up. Nice bullish looking chart, looking for that opportunity here for that to push on through. This is in that rounded bottom breakout pattern, and we would expect the upside target to be up here around the 200-day. So keep an eye on VALE, looking pretty good in there overall. Let's take a look at some defensive sectors. Mondelez coming up out of this bottom. Now, Mondelez has been hated here for quite some time, really moving to the downside. Well, now we're getting this big break up here to the upside, broke through its 50-day moving average. So what I'm looking for in this is just any kind of rest or pullback. Look for that next opportunity there in Mondelez for that potential push to the upside. And I'm seeing the same thing, kind of thing going on here in Altria. A Mo pushing up here, nice little bullish pattern. It's not in a rounded bottom breakout, but we are trying to deal with that 50-day moving average up here. So if we can pop up here and hold, look for that next opportunity for that to stretch on higher. And one of the reasons I think these things are having that success is I truly am starting to believe that we're getting that rotation. There's that worry in tech, and I think we're actually seeing institutions doing quite a little bit of selling to retail traders here as they squeeze these prices back up. And I think we're seeing some of that cash being moved into some of these old boring defensive companies like Coca-Cola. Big stretch here in Coke. Any rest or pullback in here. Remember, it's only institutions that can make the decision whether this is going to reverse and move like this. So they've been buying in here, and I think they're rotating a little bit of cash into a little bit more safety. So keep an eye on that. Any rest or pullback in Coke. I have a little bit of a bias on this as well. I've been holding AT&T for quite some time from way back in here. So I've got a very nice profit going in AT&T, and that continuing to stretch up. As a matter of fact, it's so stretched that I actually sold some calls on this trade yesterday. I would be looking for a little bit of rest or pullback in this, but telecom and those big dividends that they pay have been attracting some cash here. And if we take a look at Verizon also getting a little bit of action going in here. It's way behind what AT&T has done, but you can see moving up in this upside trend, trying to break through these moving averages in here. Any rest or pullback in here, I think, might set up an opportunity there in Verizon. So keep a close eye on those. Other places, boy, Mickey D's. Mickey D's has had quite the move. Again, this is in that consumer cyclical area, not the consumer defensive, but it is one of those old boring companies. And a nice little stretch back here to the upside. You can see the price alert I had in here on that trade. Nice little stretch. Now we're getting that resting consolidation in here again, and it may have to rest all the way out here to this trend, but I would watch that carefully for that next opportunity. You can see how McDonald's will sometimes just do those sequential little nice pattern moves to the upside, and they love doing that. So I would be watching Mickey D's for that next opportunity here. With a little bit more rest, might be just what you're looking for overall. Take a look at Upstart. Upstart had a really an earnings report, a really good gap up here, and we popped hard yesterday and pulled that all the way back. So I think this could be setting up for an opportunity here in that chart. Now, it is a little bit stretched in the short term, so it may have to rest here for just a little bit, but watch for that next opportunity in Upstart. That's not looking too bad. I'm also holding Tiger, and Tiger gapping up here this morning. Really nice looking breakout here. As you can see, this is the initial alert on that area. Tiger looking good, trying to push on through some resistance. I would expect a little rest or pullback coming in here on that, but boy, it is just looking pretty happy here in the moment. So I'm glad to be holding that. Keep an eye on Chewy. Chewy's been incredibly volatile here, really whipping, but the entire market has been that way. And now we're getting this push up here today. I would watch this carefully. You can see I've got an alert up here, watching this to see if that could push on through. This is a very long upside trend. It would be exactly where you'd be watching for some kind of additional move to the upside. So keep an eye on Chewy in there. Pretty interesting looking chart. Take a look at Moody's in here. Moody's had a great earnings report, big old whip through some resistance in the chart, and now we'd look for a little rest or pullback, a little consolidation in here, and then we might set up that next opportunity there in Moody's. Not a bad looking chart overall. Now, having said that, there are stocks out there that aren't looking that great. We still look at American Express here, breaking down below some support. And I think even though we've got Visa and things like that looking so good, American Express kind of slipping here. I would watch this carefully if that falls through that area in the chart. Watch that carefully and closely. If we take a look, we've got things like Lennar not looking too healthy and may continue to stretch on down. Take a look at some of the stocks here in the weapons building area. The president mentioning yesterday that he could see, or believes he sees, about a 50% reduction in some of this spending. We'll see, but that's having a negative effect here on things like RTX. Any rally back up now after breaking this support could set up a short pattern here, and we're seeing things like LMT. Boy, really not looking good there on LMT. So there are some short stocks out there to be paying attention to and watching pretty closely. Not everything is as rosy out there as we see in the tech giants at the moment. So watch those carefully. So with that, everyone, I'm running this video long. There are quite a few stocks for you to look at. Y'all take care, be safe, have a wonderful Friday and a great 3-day weekend. I'll see you back here bright and early next Tuesday. Wishing you all the best.